What's happening, guys? So, got another reverse diet update. This is week 2 of my client Vivyen's reverse diet process. If you are new to this, I am taking a new client of mine, Vivyen, and I am going to put her through a reverse diet to try to improve her metabolism, try to create a better relationship with food, and I just figured that this whole process would be a good thing to go put out on the internet, on the interwebs, if you will, because there's not a whole lot of this information out there. So most of the time when we look at reverse diet stuff, like the reverse diet series that I'm doing for myself, it's more based on bodybuilders coming out of show prep or being close to stage lean, and it's not really revolving an actual like normal real life person who is just kind of trying to correct some dieting history problems and get into a better spot metabolically, mentally, and all that type of stuff. So that's what this whole series is going to be about. Now, week 2 is done, and she had another stellar week. So she crushed her macros again, and weight is starting to trend down. On average, from last week to this week, she is down about 0.7 pounds. So things are trending down nicely, which that is never the goal of a reverse diet, but always a nice added bonus. And typically when we see this, I think it's more related to just better adherence overall than it is a massively improved metabolism and seeing things kind of go better that way. I think a lot of times we see people who have really good reverse diets, and those are always the stories that we always see online, right? It's like, look at this person, they went through a reverse diet, they increased their calories by 700 and they lost 10 pounds or whatever. And we always see these stories of people who lost lots of weight during a reverse diet, and it can almost become this thing where we think like, well, we should lose a bunch of weight while we reverse diet, or we don't understand like why people do this. I think the majority of the time, now there's always unique circumstances, but I think the majority of the time it's just because adherence improves a lot. So you get with a new coach and you get a little extra accountability, you start increasing your calories, and you start getting the okay to eat more food. So what ends up happening is you stick to the plan better, and you kind of get away from some of the binging tendencies and the ups and downs, so you're more consistent with the plan, and therefore you're actually technically still in the deficit, especially in the earlier stages of reverse. You start to lose a little bit of weight. So it's not magic, it's just better adherence most of the time. Now sometimes maybe metabolism improves at a faster rate than we're actually increasing calories. It can happen, but for the most part I think it has more to do with adherence. Anyway, always a good thing, always great to see weight trending down, or at least roughly maintaining while going through a reverse, so that we can keep the process going. So what I ended up doing was taking her macros, and I decided to give her an increase of 10 carbs and 1 fat. So that was a total of 59 calories, because remember, 1 gram of carb has 4 calories, 1 gram of fat has 9 calories. Now, I told her this too. I said, we could probably be more aggressive. Based on you losing a pretty decent amount of weight week 1 or week 2, we could probably give you a nice increase, and I think your body would respond pretty well, and I think we could still keep you around maintenance. But my thing is, I think that since we're taking it slow on purpose, we don't want to do anything crazy. We're not trying to get her ridiculous amounts of calories unless it happens to work out that way. We're working more towards improving the relationship with food and getting things down here and just trying to roughly maintain. So why not take it slow? We're in no rush. We have no timeline here. There's no reason to go any faster than we need to. So I'm gonna be a little bit conservative here, and even though I could probably give her a good 80 to 100 calories and I think she'd be just fine, I'm gonna keep it a little bit slower and just continue to work on things that we're working on right now. And this bump did put her into the 200 carb club, so that's one thing we always celebrate. So one of the things that is difficult about a reverse diet is that we don't have that goal to look forward to. Like when you're cutting, it's like, okay, like I'm trying to lose weight, I'm trying to see improvements in body composition. You don't get that with a reverse diet. So we need to celebrate some other things. We need to celebrate and need to enjoy things like performance-based goals and other things. So what I like to do with my group is anytime one of my clients reaches a milestone of some sort, I like to announce it to the group and we all celebrate. So with her, we celebrated, congratulations on making the 200 carb club. Came early, but it's still a milestone and it's still something worth celebrating. So anyway, with this increase, that's gonna bring her to 1,795 calories on average for the week. And things are going pretty well. So it's still early on. There's a lot that's gonna go into this. One of the big things with this check-in, she mentioned she was going to be going out of town now this week, and she was going to be going to this kind of community service thing. She's gonna be helping out with some community type work, and she's not really sure what's going to be available for food, and she's probably going to be doing a lot of eating out, and she just said, well, things are going to be off, so I can't track this week. So I stopped and said, okay, well, why can't you track this week? I wanted to ask her. So my assumption was she was thinking, I can't be accurate, I can't plan out my food, I can't weigh out my food, I can't control everything, so there's no point in tracking. And when I asked her, that's exactly what she said. She was like, yeah, I felt like I couldn't plan everything, I couldn't be on point, I couldn't really stick to things, so I felt like there was no point in tracking. So this is what we want to get away from. This is the type of behavior and mindset that really can have some negative implications if we go into this all or nothing approach. So one of the things I talked to her about was, okay, well, yeah, you cannot be perfect, but your calories are coming up now. We don't need to be extra meticulous. And that was one of the things she said. She said, well, I know during a reverse you need to be extra meticulous. It is true that the more meticulous you are during the process, the better results you'll probably get, the better the process will go. The more you stick to your macros, the better things will go. But at the same time, as we go through the process and calories get higher, we have more room to be more flexible, and we don't need to be as tedious as we would. We want to leave the extra super tedious type of stuff for down the road when you're going through a cut and calories get low and you have to be careful. So we have to understand, like, flexibility and accuracy is kind of like on a sliding scale. So like if you have one of those scales where if you put weight on one side, the one side will go up and the other side will go down. So if you think about, we have flexibility and accuracy. If you have one go up, the other has to go down. We can't do both at the same time. So if this is flexibility and this is accuracy, if we get more flexible, accuracy is going to go down. If we get more accurate, flexibility is going to have to go down. We can't be super flexible and super accurate at the same time. So as your calories get higher, this is an opportunity where you can be more flexible and not pay so much attention to it being super accurate, because you can get away with it. Your budget, so to speak, is higher and you have more calories to work with. But besides just that, we got to understand that we don't want to fall into this perfectionist trap. We don't want to think about everything as, well, if I can't be super meticulous and I can't be spot on, then there's no point. Because then what ends up happening is you go, okay, well, I'm not paying attention, I'm not on my plan, what's the point? I might as well eat whatever I want and just deal with it when I get back. And that can lead to some not so good mindset and behaviors and results, right? So one of the things I talked to her about was, okay, we have some options here. Well, first of all, if you're going out to eat, what should you do? Well, obviously, if there's nutrition available, we want to just kind of go with that. If it's not available, pick something that's available from a different restaurant that's very similar, understanding that restaurant food is never going to be accurate anyway. I mean, even if they have nutrition available, it's not like the chefs are back there, weighing out the butter and weighing out the olive oil and weighing out their servings of rice or whatever you're having, or your French fries or whatever it is. No, they're just throwing it together. They're trying to make it taste good, so it's probably going to be a little bit extra, and they're just putting it together and getting it out there and making sure that it tastes good and it's done on time. They're not going to be like trying to be super accurate with it. But that's okay. Like, we don't need to be spot on. We just want to try to get in the ballpark. So if your things are going to be off and you can just roll with something, you just have to be okay with it. That's the thing. Pick something, understand that it's probably not going to be accurate, and even if it's a few hundred calories off, that's fine. You're not going to know anyway. Just roll with it, be okay with it, say it's good, and just move on. And just this way, it at least keeps you in the ballpark, and it keeps you from going crazy, and it keeps you from just way overeating because you feel like there's no point anyway. And then you come back and you're up 2 pounds and you wonder what the heck happened. Well, this kind of takes away some of that. So talked to her a little bit. She said, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. That's a good idea. I can track, and I'll bring my food scale with. And then I said, okay, well, stop. We don't need to do that right now. Right? Again, we're trying to be more flexible now, not less flexible. So let's go ahead and back off a little bit. If you're not in prep, you don't need to be that guy who brings a food scale with, right? We don't need to be like that on top of things. We just want to get in the ballpark and just be flexible and be okay with it. And one of the other things I told her was, okay, this is one of those times we need to be more flexible. Don't worry about exact macros right now. If we can, try to equate your calories, try to equate your protein, interchange your carbs and fats however you want. If that gets too much and it's too challenging, fine. Just work with calories as best you can. Try to get a good protein source with each meal, but don't worry so much about just hitting perfect numbers either. Just get in the ballpark and just be okay with it, and keep yourself on track while enjoying things a little bit, being a little bit more flexible, and just enjoying your life and being there and doing the things that you're there to do, which is some great things and some great work. We don't want to get all stressed out about food while we're there. So just something to think about. And the other thing is, I talked to her, I'd still want to give a nice calorie increase, because even though she's not going to be training during this time, she's going to be active. I mean, with all this work and all this stuff going on, she's going to be on her feet a lot. She's going to be moving around. She's going to be really active. She's probably going to burn a lot more calories than she would in everyday life anyway. We probably could have been more aggressive because of that. But again, we're just trying to set some better behaviors and learn about being more flexible and creating a better relationship with food. And that's all something that we're going to work on. And this is going to be a good experience for her, I think. Kind of going through this process and being okay with not being so meticulous and being spot on, and understanding that it's going to be okay. And that can be a big game changer for your long-term goals. One last thing before I check out, she did ask one question. She said if things are going to be off and she's not really sure what it's going to be, would it be better to be over or under on calories during a reverse diet? So obviously we want to get as close as we can, but in my opinion, to specifically answer that question, better off being a little bit over than a little bit under during a reverse. We don't want to undereat during a reverse process as much as possible, because we want to make sure that we're keeping the metabolism going. We're working on building metabolism, so undereating is going to work against that. So let's try to avoid that as much as possible. Not that if you have 1 or 2 days where you're under, it's just going to completely wreck everything, but if you eat a little bit more, maybe you'll gain a little bit more than you would like. It's probably not going to make a difference in the grand scheme of things, and at least you keep that reverse process going, and we're working on accomplishing what we're trying to accomplish. So obviously the closer we can be, the better, but if you're going to err on the side of caution, maybe aim to be just a little bit high and keep that going. But it all just kind of comes down to each person, every unique circumstance and all that type of stuff. As always, everything always depends, right? So I say that all the time. So anyway, everything's going really well so far. We're only 2 weeks in, obviously. We haven't had a whole lot of challenges yet. This week, while being out of town, is probably the first big challenge, and it'll be interesting to see how things go while she's gone. And it might not be the next check-in, because I think it's in between check-ins once she'll be gone, but it might be the next one where we'll talk about how things went and how her body responded and what that means. So stay tuned. Any questions, as always, drop them in the comments below, and I will update you on my reverse diet Friday.
I'm addicted to the love that you're giving. Every minute, every day I've been craving.